Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Business Spotlight. I'm your host today, Todd Rodden. I'm a certified business and executive coach. I own Aspire Action Coach based here in the Dayton, Ohio area. We're thrilled to have you joining us today. And in particular, if you're new to the Business Spotlight series, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you'll receive future messages from inspiring business leaders like you're going to hear from Pendra Lee here today. So with that, I'm thrilled also to welcome and announce our business leader today. So Pendra Lee Snyder is the founder of Viva La Strings, which I think you're going to find a very interesting business. Really, they provide personalized music experiences at your special events in your life or for your business. So think like weddings, but go well beyond that, but with professional musicians to come in and really take that event to the next level. So Pendra Lee, we're thrilled to have you here with us. Maybe take a minute, talk through, how you got started with Viva La Strings, probably a deep passion for music, and how you've been building the business.
Oh, well, thank you. And it's an honor to be your guest today. And I'm glad to share the story of Viva La Strings. Actually, my background is basically media. I worked many, many years in television and owned newspapers and worked in radio and on-air talent and had been involved in music in college. But then after living in New York for a while, came back to Dayton, Ohio, and life, you know how life happens. I picked up my violin again and started in taking adult lessons as an adult. And then somebody invited me to play a wedding. And I thought that was kind of fun. And next thing I know, we just kind of evolved into doing more weddings. And then there was an organization in town that was having an annual fundraiser, very large event. They were bringing in a nationally recognized keynote speaker. And through my media newspaper business, that we had done a lot of articles on them. So I spoke to the organizer and I said, well, would you like to have a string quartet, a string trio playing your, the hour when they schmooze with the keynote speaker? She said, sure. What is the name of your group? Well, the name of the organization fundraiser was Viva La Vita. So I pondered for a moment and I said, well, the name of our trio is Viva La Strings. And that's how we got.
Make the most of the moment.
Exactly. And then down the road, eventually, after getting the ball rolling and starting to do more and more, and it was a lot of word of mouth at that time, and playing at my church and associating with a lot of musicians that way, just doing more weddings. I eventually did get Viva La Strings as a national trademark. That was a big process, but it is trademarked as across the nation, Viva La Strings, which, that's kind of a cool thing.
And maybe for a minute, kind of share with the audience, for our viewers checking in here, share some of the locations in which you can be engaged with to provide great experience at an event.
Right. Well, obviously Dayton, Cincinnati, and Northern Kentucky, and I oversee that. And early on, one of our players in the Dayton area moved to Nashville to finish his higher education at Belmont, and he had been playing with us in Dayton area. Then, as he was going to school there, he got a job at Steak and Shake, and making shakes apparently damaged his hand. So his string instructor said, you can't be making shakes if you want to be a violinist. He contacted me back and he said, hey, I got to do something for money while I'm going to grad school. Can we start a Viva La Strings here? So I thought, whoa, he's had experience playing for me here. He knows, he's a natural marketer. So I put together a business structure where all the heavy lifting as far as the business side would be in Dayton, and he would manage, select audition musicians there and run the business that way. And that was the first rolling out of another branch of Viva La Strings / Nashville. And then since then, viola player here's cousin in Columbus. We did the same thing there. So we have a Viva La Strings Columbus, we call it Central Ohio. And then when the pandemic hit, the Nashville fellow was also playing with the Nashville Symphony, but if you know anything, as a pandemic knocked out everything, including symphonies, he then lost the symphony job. So he went to Cleveland to work at a conservatory. So he said, well, let's start Viva La Strings in Cleveland, Northeast Ohio. We got it set up, but then he went back to Nashville. So we did get another manager there. So we have Viva La Strings, Northeast Ohio. It's a little fledgling, but I'm auditioning. I mean, I'm interviewing another new manager next week. So we're working to get Cleveland area built up again. But yeah, we're in several locations in Ohio and then Nashville, Central Tennessee.
Okay, great. So yeah, so broad coverage of the state of Ohio, Northern Kentucky, Nashville area. Um, so that's a great synopsis there. So
Yeah.
you shared a little bit around how you got started, become almost a passion hobby. It turned into a business one day, right? As well. Um, talk to what have been some of your other kind of growth strategies over the last decade plus. What type of marketing works for you? How do you put a focus on that?
Okay, I just remembered, it's like these are the kind of things that you should write down. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're always in the middle of doing everything, you never take the time to like track what you do. But I do remember, made it come back to my mind. But I remember at one point after a few years, I hit the $30,000 mark in Dayton. And I thought to myself, oh, maybe I need to get an accountant now. So, and that was just after a couple of years. So yeah. And that was like the first milestone. I'm going to hire an accountant.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's gone from on well beyond that now. But that was like, oh, that's a milestone I didn't even plan on. Yeah. So yeah, just after a while, before the pandemic hit, trying to organize a lot of people and manage a lot of strings. I did get acquainted with a fellow out of Minnesota who had a string quartet, was also a tech person, who created a program to organize all the ins and outs of putting together music, particular for wedding music. And we use it, it's a system called Book Live. So this was before the pandemic, I spent probably about a whole year beta testing the system that we use called Book Live. And now everything is done in that, it's a portal. So you do the contracting, you do the billing, we do all the planning for the music. The client gets their introduction into the portal. They have their access. The musicians have their access. Of course, I have the access. So, we've managed to, over time, eliminate a lot of the pieces of paper and go more electronic. And that obviously is a lot of help, as you grow, trying to get those kind of systems in place. It is a little challenging at time because, all these emails coming in and you can get them all in different places where they shouldn't go, but it works out.
So then how do you best attract the new business, new leads,
Well, we
new
do
gigs?
have pretty much interested, engagements come. It's a seasonal thing. So like engagements are usually December, February, so then when there's an order to, especially in the wedding business, the engagement, and then the first thing they start looking at, it's the ring, it's the dress, it's the venue, and then all the other pieces. And in our case, if it's the ceremony music, that usually is last or toward the end. They've got, they get the reception and they get, the reception band or DJ, whatever. But we have a wonderful website. We are very active on Instagram. But I think our biggest key is, and I think the biggest factor to help is the networking we've done. We have great relationships with a lot of the venues. We have great relationships with the wedding planners, and they do a lot of referrals for us, and we do a lot of referrals back and forth as well. It is when I first started getting involved in the wedding industry, particularly, it was astounding to me to see the strata of the wedding industry. Every industry has its culture, but I didn't realize that there was such a culture in the wedding industry. It is you open up the curtain behind there and it is just like this whole entity of a wedding culture. I mean, we're talking gigantic wedding conventions annually in Vegas, and it really is when you pull back the curtain and see the wedding industry.
So that begs the question. So as you've uncovered that, what's that been the message to you? Like maybe how have you had to change how you go to market once you started to understand that culture
Yes,
better? Right?
exactly. I figured out that the relationship with the other vendors is probably as valuable, probably more valuable maybe, than directly try and hit the brides, because you're not going to really know where they are, because the brides are going to be out trying to find you, but the other vendors, especially the bigger ones, the venues, the planners, they're already have the brides and they're filling in the holes that the bride needs for the other parts, for the smaller pieces and parts. So if you've got a relationship with those venues and those vendors, and those wedding planners, oh, you need your ceremony music, oh, you need your whatever, here are our referrals. It's great to get on the a venue's preferred vendor list. That is a great place to be. And I find that it's not hard to do that. It's just a matter of doing it. And well, I use the term back in the day, way back in the day, we had a term guerrilla marketing, and that's just basically like guerrilla warfare. You're out in the street and you just hit up everybody you see, basically. Well, I still think that's one of the best techniques. You have business cards in your music case, and before you leave a venue or before you leave, you drop the cards at the front desk. Hello.
Yeah.
To me, that makes sense. You're driving to the grocery store and you pass a florist and a diamond company, and you pull in and leave your cards because somebody's going to go look for buying flowers or a diamond ring, you know. But I also understand that not everybody thinks that way. So I do try to educate and encourage our musicians. We just had a bridal show the Wednesday night in Cincinnati at Cincinnati Music Hall. It was a lovely event and beautiful place to have a bridal show. And I supplied the musicians that came to perform for our display cards. And I said, now here, and write your name on them. And when you pass them out or when you leave them somewhere, and if somebody books a gig based on that, you get the first, choice at doing that gig. So, giving them incentives. And I don't want to give away all my secrets, but
Okay.
that's basically, that's basically what I do.
All right.
I mean, it helps a lot. And of course, we do the standard. I mean, today, in fact, one of the books I've been reading, the new model, you can't probably see this backwards, but this is a recent book, but it's the new model of selling. And it basically talks about selling in the Instagram and the Facebook and that the new world of how, people see things. And so you still have to do all that. You still have to have your presence out there. We get a lot of like, now this will be the brides. This will be the brides that are on Instagram. This will be the brides, not so much Facebook, but occasionally. But that's where you're going to get the actual bride or client. But when it comes to the venues and the vendors and those referrals, it's relationship.
Actually, I appreciate you going deeper on that. A lot of folks struggle with how to build those right kind of strategic referral relationships. I mean, that's a fancy way to say fancy. Your best referral partners, kind of stuff. But you talk, hey, sometimes it's the simple thing of, hey, when you're driving by, stop by and drop off some business cards, introduce yourself, right?
Yeah,
Right. So,
yeah, yeah.
so
Yeah.
you've been at this, more than a decade now. Every business owner has their twists and turns, their peaks and valleys they go through. Maybe share with us kind of, hey, what's been your biggest roadblock
Oh,
that you had, and how did you overcome?
well, COVID was the big one. We had so many weddings on the books during that time, and of course we collect a booking fee when people contract with us, and then of course the balance, a month before the actual date. So we had all these booking fees collected, and I mean, I had to, now we've got the legal thing that's going on, because you have all these federal rules now with a national pandemic, and it was really hard to maneuver all that. And so I did get with my lawyer, and we got the language, and we rewrote the contract, and we made sure our contract stated the right things as far as what you had to do as far as refunding money and this and that and the other. And we had weddings just cancel, postpone, a lot rescheduled. We did have a lot of people that go ahead and got married, just small family, they canceled the big deal, and then they came back later, year and a half later, and just had a small, maybe reception or just a small reenactment. But while I'm sitting around doing nothing, cleaning out files, canceling weddings, refunding things, feeling really sad, I thought I got to do something. So one of the other string players had a long time mentioned, Viva La Strings should have a wine. And I thought, I remember that. So I got together with the gal that designed our Viva La Strings logo by email. And I got together with a vineyard in Eaton and started the conversation. And so pandemic produced Viva La Strings, Adagio Red, and White Waltz.
Why? Oh, that's a different pivot, right? Okay.
So it's Viva La Strings, Adagio Red, and we have tasting notes. Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so obviously I don't sell them because I don't have a liquor license, but they're giveaways. I give them to venues, wedding planners, so they're another marketing tool. But, you got to do something when the pandemic hits.
So is that something you give to like prospects, or is that
Uh,
something you give to, obviously to customers who have host the event?
Yeah, to the venues and to the wedding planners, and then for like at the bridal shows, we do giveaways. I do a wine bag with chocolates and the Viva wine, and a gift card for a discount on a booking, and so I'm using it for a marketing tool. It's a little more pricey marketing thing to get this done, but so I save it for more of a higher end attempt. But yeah,
Love
that's
it. Great way, essentially, to take care of those power referral sources, right? To give
yeah.
you more, right? Who doesn't like getting some red or white wine? That's good.
Yeah. But I have to say that there's a lot of motivation for starting Viva La Strings. I mean, like I said, it was basically just, I say happen, but there was a purpose in it. And one of the purposes was that I saw a lot of great musicians in the area that were great players, but they were not they were not engaging their trade. Now they were housewives, they were raising families, they were doing different jobs, and maybe they were picking up gigs every now and then. So it was kind of like I had the ability and the time to be able to do this, to afford local musicians opportunities to play and to earn money, doing what they love to do and what they went to school trained for. So one of the most rewarding remarks was one of the first cellists that joined us, that's still playing with us. He had, after several months, he had posted on Facebook, unbeknownst to me till I read it, he said, "Thanks, Viva La Strings, I paid off my car."
Ah.
It was like, oh, and I've almost brought tears to my eyes. I mean, oh, that made me feel good.
So that's a great transition into talking about team, right? And obviously you've got some very skilled individuals to be able to do what you do so well. But how do you find those talented folks, and how do you keep them on your team?
Well, it's very okay. So a lot of times now, with all the presence that we have with the website and Instagram, it's people find us. You'll get folks that maybe from the area, and they've graduated from, in performance or whatever, and they come back to the area or wherever area, if they're Nashville or Cleveland or Columbus, and they'll then are ready to find, a position somewhere, and they will find us and want to, audition. And so that's one way that they find us. And then the other is, word of mouth, because it is a tight-knit community. So I do we do have like a core group of musicians, because it's like anything, any team, a group of people that play together, whether it's baseball, football, musicians, quartet, you feel each other, you have each other's vibes, you know how each other work together. So we do have a core group of people, and then we expand out from that as we have, need for more. But that's basically, it's just, referrals, and then people that find us, and then I just keep building the team. We can do, in the Dayton, Cincinnati, we can do up to six events in a day. That could be duos, trios, quartets, well, I was on a tropical island in January on a much needed vacation, but we had weddings booked, and all of a sudden I get a text, and it was the night before, 2 days before, and viola player was feeling very sick, and she said, "I'm so sorry, I just don't want to wait till the last minute." And so I got everybody on the text, and they said, "Okay, I'm not even in the country, but we need to find a sub for viola," because thankfully she didn't wait till the last minute, because it would have been worse. And it didn't take long. We had everything in place, and obviously the client knew no different, that and everything went beautifully because we got wonderful players. But I've got it set up. The contract says, if something happens, we find a sub. If we cannot find a sub, we pare down to whatever is available and refund the difference. So you have to just, it's business, you just got to do those kind of things. But we've never really had any kind of disaster, so to speak, at all. In fact, but I was telling on the way back from the bridal show the other night, I came to my mind a wedding that we're going to Cincinnati to Newport Museum to play the aquarium, to play a wedding at the aquarium. And there was a bad wreck, and nobody could get anywhere. Finally, we got to the aquarium, and we were almost so late. We threw our stuff together and started playing, and realized nobody else was there. The wedding party was behind us.
Okay. Same problem. Oh.
So that anyway, that worked out.
So as you look forward, what's the current challenge you have looking out the windshield right now? If I could give you a magic powder that you could sprinkle on just one challenge, and one challenge only, to make it go away, what would that challenge be?
Well, okay, so right now I am interviewing two new managers, a new manager in Nashville and a new manager in Cleveland. And I think I found the right people. The challenge is, as far as finding people that can manage an area, it is very hard, and it's probably like this in most industries, to find somebody that can manage and do what they're managing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Especially in the
You need a
music.
player coach, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially in the music, in what we're doing. It's not like we're this isn't like what am I trying to say? This isn't like Sony Records or whatever, where everybody's making tons of money. This is, small town wedding, corporate gig maybe. So there's not a lot of margin there. So for it to be viable for somebody, it has to be just the right person who has the time, who can play and manage. So I've got it set up so the manager gets paid a manager's fee, and which is great because they get a manager's fee off of every gig that's booked. But then best case is they play and manage. So to find a person that can do both of those things is great, because there's a lot of people, they just want to come in, play the gig and leave, and that's all they do. So they're out there, and I think I've found a couple now that it's just taken a while. It's that, and the person that can see, you know, those places to stop, those that they can see that, oh, you know, there's a florist right there, you know. So finding the person with that whole picture and the ability to play has been my challenge.
So
And when
what's
it
your
started
vision?
out,
What's
huh?
that? I'm sorry.
Well, and that's how Nashville got kicked off, because back to that story, when the kid went there, the young man now, he was a mini me kind of.
Okay. So what's your vision? You look, I don't know, 5 years down the road, you know, what do you dream that Viva La Strings would look like?
Well, you know, my husband keeps saying I should franchise, but that I don't think would work, because just what I described, to find the person that could manage and play. But I had the thought the other day, because, you know, sometimes that island I was telling you about, we've got a couple of condos there we built, you know, maybe I'd like to spend more time there. But I was thinking about maybe spinning them all off and just maybe finding somebody who would just like to buy them individually, or maybe selling the whole thing. I don't know. But at some point, you know, there will be an exit plan. But I did get a contact from a young fellow that started his own string quartet. He's still in high school. He emailed me, he said, I want to get in the wedding business. What do I do? I said, you're in high school? Yes. Okay. And I mean, there were so many things I could say. So first thing I said was, develop your exit plan. I said,
Okay.
I
All
said,
right.
I don't know, you're in high school. You know, I don't.
Start with the end in mind. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Because I didn't do that. But, you know, but still, I mean, he's in high school. Go to school.
Good. Oh, yeah, I love that. I love the passion, the
Yeah,
drive, right? So,
because it is. The entrepreneur is a different kind of mind. And I think the hard part is being able to harness that mind into something to focus it, and whatever your passion is, you know, you got to put it in some kind of guardrails. Otherwise, it's easy to go everywhere.
you know, but that leads, you know, right at actually my next question is going to be around, hey, what have you found to be your keys to success? And then if you were starting all over again, what would you tell yourself? Like kind of the, hey,
Yeah,
I wish I knew then that I know now.
yeah. Uh, I think my key to success is my tenacity, maybe. I mean, I just don't know how to stop and figure out a way through obstacles and things. And kind of can see the big picture. But yeah, the other part of that is probably incorporating more people into the other parts of it, because I find out that this is the hard part about the entrepreneur mind, I think, is you know it all in your head, but you don't know how to express it out to other people to do what you do. And if you could figure out how to pull that out of yourself and teach it to other people, so that take off some of the burden, it would be so beneficial.
Great.
Yeah,
Great advice, right? Because again, that journey far too often it's a pretty lonely journey,
yeah,
right? It's all on you. You're carrying the weight of all these decisions, pulling everything together, and then how can you earlier on incorporate others in, not
yeah,
only to carry the load, but also they'll bring new ideas and they help you go farther faster. Right?
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, so as we get ready to wrap up here today, our time flies by. Um, what's the best ways for folks to connect and follow you and Viva La Strings?
Okay, well, we have the website, vivalastrings.com. It has just been rebuilt, restructured. There are a few little quirks on there, so if you find any, email me, let me know. Instagram, of course, and Facebook pages, so Viva La Strings. And that's how you'll find us. There is a Twitter page, Viva La Strings. it doesn't get a lot of attention. But Instagram and Facebook and the website.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Encourage
Yeah.
folks
And
to
we're booking, we love to do corporate gigs. We do supply strings for churches, Easter, Christmas. And and we also supply strings for like there's a group of that from Lima, from Tip City, that are wonderful reenactment of Electric Light Orchestra called Turn to Stone, and we supply the strings for them. So if you see them, they're going to be doing
okay.
Miamisburg, and
Okay, yeah. Summer concert series start to
yeah,
open
yeah,
up
yeah,
and things like that.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah. So
So,
yeah, we're out
so,
there.
so thank you. So as we look to wrap today, final question, Pendra Lee, what are you inspired by today?
I am inspired by the look. Okay, it's the look on clients' faces. I love to see them when we sit down and play. And I think when they walk into the venue or they walk into the room and they see the live music, because so many people today are so used to their iPads or their ear pods or just canned music, and everything just coming out of wires and through the internet, whatever. But to see live musicians and their appreciation, and then the fact that I have been given and blessed with this ability and initiative to be able to put that together and make musicians happy and provide for them source of income, and then to see these clients and the looks on their faces, and then to make the dreams of these brides or clients happy. It is a fulfilling thing in my heart. It's just really cool. It feels good.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah, that's great when you can your passion and your talents, intersect out there with, giving great experiences, kind of, very meaningful life experiences
Yeah,
to many folks, right? That they'll remember those days for the rest of their lives. So
yeah, exactly.
good. Well, thank you, Pendra, for sharing your story. And again, to our viewers out there, thank you for joining us today as well. And encourage you to go ahead, like this episode, and then also hit the subscribe button so you can receive more messages as we continue to share learnings from business leaders across the spectrum, across our community. So thank you all again. Thank you, Pendra Lee, and I hope you all have a terrific day.